Welcome to Try Talking Sport, the podium podcast for athletes, adventurers and endurance enthusiasts, hosted by me, Joanne Murphy. I hope you all had a fabulous new year and flew through your first week of 2020 with a smile on your face whilst managing to stick to your New Year's resolutions, whatever they may be. We have lots of plans for 2020, both on the podcast and beyond. And you'll be glad to hear I'll be cropping up on the finish line of lots of great races and also at a number of other sporting events this year, which I'm very excited about. I'm also getting back into the routine of some consistent training myself, which is one of my goals for 2020. And although some of the more recent dark and very cold and wet mornings have made it difficult to get out of bed at 6:15 a.m, the lure of getting the training done early in the day, and more importantly, the banter with my training buddies has made it that little bit easier to get out of my warm bed. Plus, to be fair, the crew on the January Fitness Challenge are full of motivation as they rock through their 15 hours of fitness this month, so they're definitely keeping me on my toes. If you're thinking of taking the plunge into triathlon this year, then the first port of call for your information, support and encouragement is your own local tri club. You can find out about the clubs in your area by contacting your National Triathlon Federation. In Ireland, it's Triathlon Ireland, and in the UK, it's the British Triathlon Federation. Further afield, a Google search should garnish you with some great results. It's well worth also checking out the many new to try or beginner triathlon events that are being posted over the next couple of weeks, with lots of information and insight on the sport of triathlon and lots of information from club members who are hosting those events. For the ladies in triathlon, regardless of your level of participation or interest in the sport, do check out the private Women for Tri Facebook group, which is filled with insight, information and in many cases inspiration to help you not only take your first steps to triathlon, but it might even help you to improve your performance in 2020. Now please also feel free to get in touch with me directly. I'd be happy to help you get on the right track and get started on your triathlon journey this year. Now to today's episode, where I chat with Irish ice swimmer, yes, you heard me correctly, ice swimmer Ger Kennedy from Dublin, who recently became the first man in the world to complete the 7 ice swims. It's like the equivalent of the 7 oceans, but the swims must be 1 mile in length under standard ice swimming rules, where there are no wetsuits and no neoprene hats, and the water temperature is at minimum 5 degrees or less. Ger's CV is seriously impressive. He is one of the world's most determined and dedicated ice swimmers, breaking boundaries and pushing his body to the limits through endurance sport. He took up the sport about 8 years ago and has gone from strength to strength on a local and international scale, travelling the world to follow his passion for ice swimming as a participant, a supporter and a facilitator. He has been nominated for the 2019 World Open Water Swimming Association's World Open Water Swimming Man of the Year in recognition of his outstanding performance and offerings around the globe. If you get a chance, please take a couple of seconds to vote for Ger. He would really appreciate it. Simply go to the website www.worldopenwaterswimmingassociation.com and vote for Ger Kennedy. Ice swimming was something that I was aware of, but not very knowledgeable about. This interview with Ger was hugely illuminating and enlightening. I hope you enjoy it. Ger Kennedy, living in Dublin, has recently completed the Ice 7 swims. That sounds very cold, Ger.
It's a concept that was actually created a few years, was given a personal challenge. Ice swimming is kind of like any endurance sport there's always a next. There's always, somebody doing double what you've done or somebody doing longer what you've done. That's just the way endurance sports works. So myself and a World Open Water Swimming guru, Steve Monotones, plus with Ram Barkai from South Africa, from the Ice Swimming Association, we actually created a challenge of 7 ice miles, including a 0 ice mile, 7 continents or twice in a polar region.
Now, tell me a little bit more about ice swimming.
They came up with a term 2009 when they started the Ice Swimming Association. The term was, anything below 5 degrees is the new buzzword of ice swimming. Winter swimming, ice swimming has been around. Winter swimming has been around for forever. But the term ice swimming was a categorised of 5 degrees and lower.
Put into context, Ger, so you swam a mile in water temperature less than 5 degrees. Like how do you, first of all, how long does it take you to swim a mile at that cold water temperature?
For me, obviously, don't forget you're only allowed to wear togs, cap and goggles,
So there's no wetsuits?
No wetsuits allowed.
Oh,
No,
mother of God.
no. I know, it's terrible. But no wetsuits allowed. No footwear, no handwear. It's literally as plain and simple as that. Small bit of Vaseline for chafing. That's it. Or earplugs allowed. That's the rules, and that's the way it's been done at the minute.
So you've completed a 1 mile swim in Europe, Asia, Africa, Oceania, South America, North America, a polar one also.
Yeah, it was North Norway. What they done was, in fairness, I think because of Antarctica is so expensive to get in and out of, and the permissions to swim there is extreme, actually, privilege to swim there, they created the polar regions as one. So you have anything over 70 degrees north and anything is 64 degrees south, which is Antarctic Peninsula. So they've actually combined those two. So I done the polar region first, which is North Norway, very top of Norway. So because of Antarctica is, it's just very few people can afford to go down there.
I don't think any of us can conceptualize how cold it must have been. I mean, Black Rock on a warm day in Galway is still flipping cold. I mean, how do you
Yeah.
train
No,
yourself to be able for that kind of swimming?
You do. It's quite extreme. Training I do there was no books, there was no nothing. We had some advice from various people. Take it to the next level was into a total unknown. How do you do this? How do you do that? So I used to go over to Russia quite a lot, especially Siberia. And I used to train there and I'll compete there, adapt myself from coming from Dublin to these extreme regions and actually be able to swim in 0 degree against kind of people who actually lived there.
And what's a normal training routine for you? How do you get yourself used to the cold?
The early years are the hard years when you're trying to push through a pain barrier of distance and saying, okay, I'm going to go for 1,000 meters in, say, the Irish Sea at 70 degrees, which was a big swim. And then it drops down in temperature. You're going to 6 degrees, 1,000 meters, 1,200 meters, 1,500 meters. And then you go into a mile distance, So the first few years are extremely difficult. And I was classed as a bit of a weirdo as well. And which I got that a lot on because I used to come out sometimes crawling up the steps in the 40-foot or pretty beaten up or couldn't drive the car afterwards for a little while, couldn't get dressed properly. So it was a lot of people now that sort of eventually they kind of got what I was trying to do as they actually seen the proof of actually where I was going and what I was doing.
So how many people have completed the Ice 7 swims?
There's only 2 of us. A mate of mine, Jamie Monaghan, was the first lady to complete it, first person and lady. And I'm the first man to do it, first man in the world to do it. It's pretty cool because it's, I said when you get on over years, achievements, a first in the world is very rare, in general endurance sports anyway. To be able to push boundaries where there's very few men can actually go to the level where I'm at now. They're chasing me. Young fellas are chasing me.
So where did this interest in ice swimming come from, or how did you get started on this endurance journey, Ger?
Yeah, interesting. It was about 2011. I was pretty beaten up. I had brutal arthritis in my hips and my knees. It turned out to be hereditary. I wasn't a great triathlete. I was okay. I could handle more pain than anything else because that's what it mostly was for me. It wasn't enjoyment. It was just total pain. I kind of, I was very badly beaten down and I was really suffering mental health, suffering badly. So I was down to 40 foot walking around and some fella says to you, what are you walking around for? I said, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here. And he says, strip off there and get into the water there and clear the head or whatever. And I did. I jumped in, walked down the steps, lasted about 0.2 of a second during winter. I started to, be interested. I was interested in the cold first, and then I realised there's an endurance sport in this. I didn't even know what ice swimming was. I hadn't a clue.
So how do you go from swimming in the 40 foot to then going on to train so much to represent Ireland at World Championship level, to go and represent Ireland in different championships across the world? I mean, your CV is absolutely incredible in terms of the achievements that you've had over the past number of years. What is it now? Is it 8-9 years to 2020 since you started?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm a fairly driven guy. It's if you give me half a chance, I'll start pushing hard, especially training because I was always used to hard training. And training would be like I do a lot of pool work, a lot of fitness work. In the sea, I do long distance. If the temperature's warm, I train long. Usually, I'm like one of these supermodels. They only get out of bed for 5 degrees, You can quote me on that one, But yeah, that's a new one. I did, and I enjoy people, and I love traveling, and I just did. I met so many amazing people, and they really helped me, and they kind of got me where I was doing these no limit swims, which are pretty dangerous, pretty extreme. Even I had my own personal cardiologist at one stage, the Cry Clinic in Dublin. So in Tala, we had there was a lot of stuff behind me there. It was all the good ingredients to make me push on further. That my body could take it. It can take it in a safe way and come back.
Because I imagine ice swimming isn't for everyone. Like, not everybody will be able to deal with that pain threshold.
No, and I say to people, it's not for everyone. There is an enjoyment in this, as in, I'd really admire people that go down to the 40-foot every morning, every afternoon. They're of age or whatever, because that's where I sit there in the middle of them. I love them to bits. And, they go in, it could be down. They call, 10 strokes out, 5 out and 5 back. They still get the enjoyment out of winter swimming, or, it wouldn't even have to be ice swimming. So for people, to try and chase these kind of extremes like I did, or miles, it's a difficult journey. And do you really want to go to there? Do you need to go there for those reasons, or can you not just go and compete at 1,000 meters or less, and just be happy and compete as a swimmer, technically as an ice swimmer? You can compete, but you don't have to go into this kind of super endurance pain thresholds, which is not for everyone. It's really not. If I showed you some of the recovery videos now, it wouldn't be a YouTube status now.
And in terms of training, Ger, like, talk us through what a typical training session or a training week maybe looks like when you're doing your ice swimming, or when you're getting ready to take on an ice mile. What a typical week of training would look like, because I don't think anyone who's listening to the show will really have an appreciation of what it takes to be able to withstand the cold, but also the type of training that you might need to do.
Okay, well, I'll do, like, ready for a swim in Antarctica now. That's coming up, and I leave on February the 12th for Antarctica. I'll be doing extreme ice mile down there inside the Antarctic Circle. So as at the minute now, I'm actually in total preparation for that swim. That's took 3.5 years just to plan this technical swim, with permissions from the Argentinian government and also from the expedition companies and various people that I need to talk to actually. So anyway, my typical week, last weekend, I was just back from Wales. I went over to train Saturday and Sunday in a place called the Brecon Beacons, which is a very cold mountain region, a national park in Wales. And that's generally where the SAS or various armies, British Army, train. So there is quite extreme. The temperatures are very high here. So I jumped off to a friend of mine, and we've done, I think it was 1,400 meters in 3 degrees. And then went on to do a river swim at 5 degrees, another 1,200 meters, and then rest. And then the next day we done actually 1,500 meters in 3 degrees again. And then there was a small sort of hike on top of that, which is part of what we do as well. We also use a respiratory system to start hiking. You don't just swim, we actually start hiking up various hills, because it's all part of your grit and stamina required to do sort of more endurance swims.
So talk to me about this, because you would presume, maybe incorrectly, that all you would do is swim the distances and maybe do some strength and conditioning in the gym. But this hiking side of things, I would never have even imagined that you would be doing that.
Yeah, it's very important, and I say it to a lot of endurance swimmers. If you keep attacking the cold, it won't. Cold. A human body's not supposed to survive in these kind of environments. So if you keep repetitively doing it, it's not good for your body. Now, I'm talking about distance now. You can have a plunge every day, no problem. But if you're doing distance of over 1,000 meters 5-6 times a week, it's not healthy for your body. It's not good for your organs. It's not good for your respiratory. You get lethargic. There is effects from it. So what I do is I do the opposites. So obviously hiking is a part of it. I do a lot of pool work. I'm in the pool at 6 a.m. Monday to Thursday, and we do an hour and a half session, usually about 5K a session. Push hard, and that keeps the fitness up to be able to, the body to be able to take more punishment when you go to these kind of environments.
And how important is the support crew around you as well, Ger? I can imagine that, when you come out of the water, you need to have people on the shore with whatever it is that you're going to need to warm back up to bring your temperature back up. But I presume that you need to do it at a very slow level, or would there be issues if you got warm too quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you need to have total trust in your crew. There's very few places in the world where you can go to your absolute limit, which Siberia is there's a couple of places there where I go where they do a high level recovery, which is like you're swimming. I swam 2 kilometers in 0.2, and the body, no thermometers work anymore on you. So your body could drop to 29 or 28 Celsius, and how they can lift that body from, they use a hot towel method, and it's obviously how your body can react to, have you done your base training, have you done all the hard stuff to actually the body to accept what's coming to it. It's pretty extreme, and it's something I've only videoed once because I did show it once at a conference just to try and educate people that we're actually fairly skilled at what we do now. We're not just go to our limits to our eyes rolling our head. We do that, but again, we want to come home to our families and stuff. So for the likes that swim took me, say, 40 minutes, and my recovery was coherent at 15 minutes afterwards. 2 kilometer swim. So afterwards, I was actually speaking to the camera at 15 minutes. So I just had to prove that we're not just these ridiculous men or women that go, you hand ourselves over to these safety people and they have to revive us through boiling our blood or something, or heating us, or a hug. Lots of hugs work for sure. So I was kind of educating the audience, and that was a World Open Water Swimming Conference with a lot of people there, with Olympic champions, with Olympic swimmers, coaches. I try to educate them. Look, we do go to these limits, and it's like going to Everest. Why do you go to Everest? You go to a death zone. Oh my God, it's nuts. But then you try and educate people. Look, this is what happened. This is what I done, and so I was doing the same process.
Are you ever afraid getting into the water, Ger?
Oh yeah, I shit myself. Absolutely. Yeah, I am. How do I say it? You have to control that. You have to control your fight or flight. You're getting to the side of the pool. You're in quite, like, for me to go to Siberia into a backyard against 2 huge Russian guys. One was out there to kind of beat me for sure. And it's very intimidating. So you have to control your blood pressure. You have to control your respiratory. And you have to believe in that you're okay. You're going to get into this water, and great safety around you, and you're going to get into the water, and you're going to be able to do your best.
What's the coldest water you've ever swam in?
It was -1 of seawater. The seawater goes down to -0.7. I'd say the water in Antarctica, where I'm going, I'd say would probably be a minus reading. So I'm ready for that. So it's either going to be -1 or 0.
I can't fathom how cold that's going to be.
No, it's. I don't want to scare your listeners either too much. It's.
How could we get a sense of how cold it is? If we were to do an experiment at home, how would you figure it out?
The only way I can tell you is some of the body reactions that happens to my body, and it always happens because the body will react like you would and I would.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do 40 minutes, say in 0 degrees, or my ice bath record is 1 hour and 15 minutes in proper, like, floating ice. So how do you get to these extremes? But the effects is very important, because if I do, what happens to me, I've learned over the very low temperatures, is that my organs internally start to hurt, like especially my kidneys, the closest organ outside your body, around your love handle area. They actually could be paining me, and I wouldn't be able to hold down water for about 2 or 3 days, because my kidneys are reacting they're trying to recover. That was a new kind of thing the past few years that I'm very cautious of. Forget about your fingers and toes. I think there's no long-term damage in them, for me anyway.
But it's your organs that get affected.
I think especially kidney areas, yeah, absolutely. When you go to those super extremes, I think they get more affected, and I don't think that's a healthy thing. So you can't just do multiple distance swims. I think just do one every couple of years and then back out of it. and let the body heal and stuff. And to be honest with you, I've had no long-term injuries.
And how is your arthritis now and your mental health following all of these activities?
Excellent. Been very good. The arthritis, I've got, well, the other hip is not too bad. I haven't seen my physio in about 3 years, which is kind of good. Maybe 4, because I've no shoulder injuries now. So it's been really good. Excellent. The thing about it's funny, I mean, when you get into icy water, it kind of numbs everything, including your injuries. You know, a lot of triathletes now I'm swimming with, they're all doing plunging and stuff and putting their legs in and after hard runs and marathon runners and stuff. And even, you know, you see rugby players, they're all doing it because there is something in it. So it kind of sort of numbs all that stuff, which is great, you know.
And the sea is a wonderful therapeutic thing that we're very lucky to have on the island of Ireland here as well, that we're surrounded by the sea, no matter where you are on the coast. You know, that you get the opportunity to jump into Blackrock in Galway or the 40-foot in Dublin, or there's lots of swimming locations down in Cork as well. But we wouldn't recommend for anybody to try and start ice swimming by going out on freezing cold days.
No.
So if somebody wanted to do a bit of ice swimming, Ger, where's the best place for them to investigate it out or to find out more information about it?
Well, there's a small association here, which is IISA Ireland, which is International Ice Swimming Association, and it's the Ireland branch of that. So Tiffany Quinn heads up that, and that's been around since 2015. So there's an education program there involved in what to do, where to go, who to train with, various things. And there's a lot of information there that people could, you generally have to reach out and find a group like Galway. I can see a good few people swimming down there. Dublin, there's loads here. Clare, north of Ireland. Cork, there's lots of groups there. Some are going to ice swimming levels or some aren't. But you know what? You have to start off with just cold water first before you can go near stuff we're at,
And cold water without a wetsuit.
And it takes time, and I love to see people progress. Again, like with Antarctica, there's 17 people coming with me to Antarctica because I'm the expedition leader. You're talking about, I'd say 14 of them are total novice ice swimmers. Total novice. They're just normal people that go into the sea and plunge and bathe and stuff. But I wanted novices to come with me that, to have a 50-meter swim in Antarctica would be their pinnacle. I'm thrilled to be able to support that.
And Ger, you do an awful lot of work and support and help with other people, encouraging, motivating and supporting them to complete their own ice and winter swimming challenges. I mean, the list of people that you've supported, individuals, groups, you were race director and event director for a number of different swims and everything as well. You've facilitated a lot of people to follow their passion for swimming. Absolutely.
And still at it. I've taken a step back a tiny bit now with events and stuff. Just to, I think, I'm just slightly done, if you know what I mean, but it's in a good way. But I'm supporting channel swimmers, ice swimmers, aspirations to do different things. Once there's a good, passionate story behind it, my coaching's free. I give you advice free as long as there's a good reason why you're doing this, or tell me your story. I'll meet you for a coffee and tell me your story. And if I feel you're just going to take and move on, well then, sorry, not for me. But if you come with a passionate story, and if you're becoming an ambassador for your area, say for instance Wexford or Gorey or whatever, well then you're going to influence other people to follow your passion, which has been good to you.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And it's no surprise really that, you have been nominated for the Man of the Year for outdoor swimming, or World Open Water Swimming for this year, and that you've been included in the world's 50 most adventurous open water men for the last 3 years.
Yeah, pretty privileged for that. I was nominated in 2016, and I think it wasn't my time to, there's only 12 people, two of them are Olympic champions of 10 kilometer swims, and one is actually he's tipped to be the Olympic champion in Tokyo. So you're up at that level. It's pretty cool to see your name up there, and I'm very thrilled over that.
So if people want to support you, Ger, and they want to vote for the World Open Water Swimming Man of the Year, how do they do it?
World Open Water Swimming Association website. There's a link there. You'll see vote 2019, and you'll see my name down there. There's no membership sign up. We just touch it, vote, and per device you're allowed to vote, or else go into my own Facebook feed, Ger Kennedy, You'll see a link there, or my Instagram. You'll see a link there. I'm not great in social media because I don't. I do it a bit, but I'm not great at it. But anyway, you'll find it there. Appreciate if you vote. I think it's worth a go. I think it's I passed it around a lot than normally. I normally play down these things, but I think it's my time.
Ger, in terms of fueling for these events, I mean, what sort of food do you eat to get ready for these events?
Not really a great secret. It's I'll be honest with you, just a balanced diet with me all the way. Meat and 2 veg, man. No great shakes.
And what about, for just before the swim or after it, what do you take for recovery afterwards?
It's hot drinks, afterwards. It's real old school stuff. This is, you're talking about hot soup kind of stuff. We don't really have tea and coffee. It's kind of like hot juice or hot Ribena. It's kind of sugary stuff. A can of Coke sometimes actually lifts the sugar levels when you're the body's taking such a hammering. And then afterwards, it's old school Russian vodka. Away you go.
We don't get that on the finish line of an Ironman.
No, I'm afraid not. No.
Or a triathlon in general.
No. It's funny, and it's as simple as that. Just a good, solid, balanced diet. I have carbo drinks like everyone else. I don't carbo load because you have to in swimming. You have to empty your stomach, maybe even fill it.
Sorry, go back to that. You have to empty your stomach?
Yeah. For me, I have to empty the stomach because if you say, for instance, like a typical pasta dinner or whatever, the stomach then pushes on the lungs and you find you actually cannot, I find I can't
breathe.
get a breath.
Okay.
I can't breathe correct. So I don't carbo load or any of that kind of stuff because I don't go depleted either. I go in just nice, breakfast about 3 hours beforehand. Very simple digestive breakfast and, eggs or whatever. And no coffee because that elevates the blood pressure. And again, just once you have a reasonable stomach, because you'd be surprised when you have a big fill. It's like when you were kids, don't eat before you swim. Let your parents say to you, let the food digest. It's actually great.
In terms of breathing, because it's one thing to put your body into the water. As we all know, when you go to start a race or whatever, you put your body into the water. But it's when you put your face in and you start to get the brain freeze, that's when it all becomes very real and some people panic.
Yeah, exactly. The lateral gag reflex from cold is the killer. And that's where the drownings, unfortunately do happen because they go in, there's a gag reflex and there's a panic and then the body reacts to that. And it starts to hyperventilate where you're trying to get a breath and you can't. And then if the water's fresh water, you're going to start sinking. So unfortunately, a lot of the drownings when you hit cold water is just fresh water and it's cold water. And then the gag reflex happens, the cold water reaction, and then, the person goes down. So you have to overcome that.
And when you're swimming, Ger, on those mile swims, are you using like the stroke rate? Is it, breathe every second turn, breathe every fourth turn?
No, not really. No, it's literally trying to get myself in a very relaxed state where, in fact, some of the swims I've done, I've actually gone so relaxed that I'm nearly swimming, I wouldn't say unconscious, but I'm really swimming in a trance where my second is trying to look for a signal from me to say I'm actually okay, which is usually a thumbs up, which you're allowed to do. But sometimes I've gone so far into a trance where I'm actually swimming well, but he's had to either slap my head or slap my hand on the turn to actually kind of slightly wake me up out of this trance,
So how do you get into that trance? Is it a meditative state you get into before you swim?
It is, yeah. It's a kind of very relaxed. My pulse rate will be very low, mid-50s, quietly confident. And again, I always start off slow and then build from there. I think it's only through going to these kind of places that you develop that, I would say, experience. I don't do any yoga meditation. It's kind of more experience that I'm saying, yeah, been here before. Just go in. He's going to go faster than you. The first 100 meters, let him off and you'll catch him then at 1,000 meters.
And what's been the highlight of your swimming career to date?
I suppose, the 2 kilometer swim in Siberia was pretty extreme. That's what they call the no limit swim, where once you're able to signal to your team and you're able to rotate your arms and your timings is not gone so slow, like you could drop down to 2 minutes 10 per 100, which is slow for me, but you're still actually okay. they created a swim which is no limits. So actually we were able to go till we couldn't go no more.
So there was no
I
finish
suppose
line in sight. It was
might
just keep going until you can't go further.
exactly, yeah. So there was only me left in the pool, and they kept the lights on for me, which is good. I think that was it, because to go to another country like that and go into somebody's backyard and go to a very intimidating backyard, there's no English, referee doesn't really want you to win either. Luckily I had a great team that were able to watch my back while I'm swimming. My timing was correct. To get to that level, there's only 5 people have ever swam to that kind of level.
You mentioned your team quite a bit, Ger. So how many people are on that support team generally?
For a swim like that, there could be 5. There's obviously you have the official second, they call it, which is your number 1, and then there's obviously you're trying to have a bit more experience in your team. Somebody that's going to be at the end, say for instance, like that swim, there was a Irish Coast Guard guy from Waterford, and he was waving an Irish flag at the end of it, banging the boards, stuff like that. You need all that kind of ingredients that you're looking up and you're seeing, Irish people, you're seeing support and shouting, and they believe in you. They believe you can do this, and when you look up and see that, you will achieve it.
Now, there's not many people have completed a 2K non-stop open water swim in temperatures 0 degrees. There's a specific club for that, but there's very few people in it.
Just to get to 1 ice mile 0 is an unbelievable achievement, because it's so hard. You have no idea. It's like running back-to-back ultras for us. The amount it takes out of you just for 32 minutes is just bananas.
So how long does it take to recover then, Ger? That's the other question, I suppose. If you do a 1 mile ice swim on a Saturday, when are you back training again, or how long does it take for the body to come back around?
It does take a bit of time. Like this weekend, I kind of just hit the sea this time. I didn't want to. I was obviously last weekend I pushed it. Went back to the pool. The body loves the heat, so it recovers quicker. Go to lots of saunas, steam rooms. I don't generally do jacuzzis. I find it too difficult for me. So, you're creating heat and recovering the body. And then this weekend, on a 1K swim around the 40 foot there on Saturday. And then today I actually pushed it. So I'm up to 3K in the sea now at the minute.
And when you were swimming today, what sort of safety devices do you have with you, or do you have a crew with you that are on a safety boat?
No, we've short loops in the 40 foot, say. So from the 40 foot around to the Sandy Cove is about 500 meters, 520 meters. So we call them loops. So I'm in there 520 meters, and for me to do 6 loops equals 3K. The get outs, I've got multiple things. If things I don't feel good, I don't feel strong, I've got multiple points to get to land within less than 100 meters. It's the only way we can sort of self-protect ourselves, that we're swimming away in loops, and anything goes wrong, we just immediately get out. Or if somebody with me, or if I tell them to get out, because there's no bravado, you're not trying to keep up with me, or I'm not trying to keep up with anybody. So the recovery process, or the difficulty, it usually happens like if people spend too long in the sea, they find it extremely difficult even to get dressed.
So how do you deal with the mental side of it, Ger? It's one thing to be trained on the physical side and to be able to put up with the extreme temperatures that you're going to, but how do you train your brain for all of this?
I don't know. I find it very hard sometimes, extremely hard. From these, as you see from the CV, there's kind of these multiple back-to-backs sometimes, which they come thick and fast, because the opportunities arise, or that's your path and you want to get to this number 1 spot, and there's people chasing it, and I'm chasing it too. And I find when you get to these kind of massive goals, and I could hit goals for a year, maybe big ones, some of them that no one's ever done, and then you have to restart the training process again, and I'm finding it harder and harder to do that. So I really have to dig deep to even restart myself into go back to the pool and hammer in 20K a week, 25K a week, and then to go back to the cold and start the November, the acclimatizing training. It wears hard on you. And I think the only way I can do it is with company. I try and develop good people around me, good positive people some people want to go to the limit, some people don't. But I think generally it's the company I keep that has made me as strong as I am today, mentally wise.
Do you ever think about quitting?
Oh yeah, for sure. Usually halfway through everything, yeah. You hit your wall, you go, oh, here, what am I doing? You old idiot, you. You do. I think this is the difference, and most endurance athletes out there, they find this, you get to a halfway point and you say, what am I doing? Like, oh, for God's sake, you took off too much. But you find those second and third and fourth gears. That's when you find them. Because, you're up against adversity, the bodies, you know how difficult it is with the situation you're in, but you find that second gear, third gear that moves you into that endurance state, and then move you forward into that super endurance state. And this is why you have top level athletes doing things that people say, how'd you do that? They find it hard to answer that question because it's in you. It's in you to move forward. When things are so tough, you say, okay, things are crap, but I'm going to finish this. It's just you at the end of it. Sometimes you don't celebrate. Sometimes these goals and stuff you quietly celebrate, but you do when you don't. And only when I'm looking back now, reflecting, if you look back in your CV and you go, holy shit, like I did do a hell of a lot, But it's a fine line of what's enough, when to stop.
Do you stop? What's the next big goal for Ger Kennedy? That if he could win one race or complete one challenge in this decade, what's it going to be?
Well, I'm kind of the beauty of hitting your pinnacle of the Ice Sevens and to get nominated for World Open Water Swim of the Year. I think there is nothing more. There is more, but if you're not satisfied with that, I think there's something wrong. For me now, obviously the privilege of going to Antarctica and leading an expedition there in February. We leave on this February 12th. For me, I'm actually under no pressure I'm going to swim down there, and hopefully the weather's good to me and the crew and everything's ingredients are right. I'm going to do a record swim, but I've no pressure behind me to achieve it because I've already got to my pinnacle. I'm kind of more relaxed this year, even though what I'm going to tell you, you're going to go, you what? But, I'm an endurance swimmer, and that's what I do. And I do push it hard. I train hard, push it hard, and Antarctica first, anyway.
Antarctica first. Well, Ger, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It's been a hugely insightful and informative conversation with you. And I hope that people who are listening do check out your own CV and also take the couple of minutes that it'll take to vote for you for the World Open Water Swimming Man of the Year 2019, because I think you are a credit to our country and you're a credit to the endurance athletes in the country who you support, but also to yourself. And I think you're a huge inspiration to be leading the charge in Ireland, really, with the ice swimming. The more we can do to educate people about it and to get more people involved in it, I think that the better it will be for everybody. And I wish you every success with your expedition and with the Wowza Awards for 2019. I hope to see you coming home with the win.
Yeah, appreciate you, Anna, and thank you for your time. It's fantastic.
Thanks as always for tuning in, and a big shout out to everyone who has been listening and sending messages to me about the podcast. So many great stories to be told. We have people tuning in from all over the globe, and I'd love you to say hello. So pop me a mail, a private message on social, or get in touch via the website. And don't forget to pop a review on Apple Podcasts or on the Facebook page, Try Talking Sport. I absolutely love hearing your feedback on the interviews. If you have a suggestion for a guest, why not pop an email to trytalkingsport@gmail.com. That's try with an I, not a Y. Until next time, stay safe and keep smiling.